So this right now is two things actually. A pre-session analysis for today, Thursday, April 11th, 2024, along with a trade breakdown and the outlook coming into tomorrow and the upcoming week. Breakdown for the shorts that I took today on Thursday, April 11th, 2024. It was extremely calm, to be honest. It was extremely calm to play. What I saw coming into the day, and let me see if I can just wind this back a bit to give a bit more context. But what I saw coming into the day was the mere fact that we began to disrespect a previous order flow range that I intended to play from. Not intended to play from, but I intended to more or less confirm. I guess as you're saying. But the moment I realized that this order flow range failed to perform its objective, in that the intention is to actually go ahead and move to this high, as per how I view liquidity, order flow, and how I trade in general, my methodology, then the moment I realized that price hasn't really played in congruence with such ideology or with such idea, it makes me think, you know what? We began to run lows and the trend will continue. We began to run lows and more lows and more lows and more lows. That's the ideology. The moment we break this first order flow range, all of a sudden we understand that order flow more or less switch, or how we view order flow more or less switch. So much that shorts becoming the primary objective, so to speak. Why? Because the longs are invalidated, the bullish order flow ranges were invalidated. So we get the stage now where it's like, a strong, quote unquote, strong order flow range, that I was intending to play from for longs gets invalidated, and it speaks to me that, you know what, in such cases where this order flow range becomes invalidated, then the ideology is to begin sweeping lows. Sweeping lows are previous order flow ranges. That is something I will get into in greater detail as we move forward. But it's interesting in itself. But what I was seeing coming into the day was, if you go back from yesterday, for instance, I understood I had this as my order flow range liquidity low that I would like to see taken in order for me to actually confirm the idea that, you know what, we will begin to run lows, and then at the end of the CPI, actually, whatever it was, come and actually deliver and make me think, you know what, those lows go, we switch bearish. We switch to bearish order flow. Now coming into the day, I was a bit, I was switched on. That is one thing you can say regarding my performance today. I was switched on. I was cognizant of where we're operating from and the components or the sequence of events that have been unfolded that would allow me to think, you know what, it's time for a trade. Or a trade idea based on my methodology is beginning to heat up, so to speak. What I was seeing though, like I conducted my pre-session analysis for the day, and I should have probably open up a different window to show that bit, or show the screenshot I sent out this morning. But you can see I think prices around here, and I realized this low went, and I said this is very interesting because when I understood this low went, it means that this low will become a support and liquidation, and all of a sudden my range high and my range low began to get more validity, so to speak. Like that was warrant me actually taking a position, whether or not I got a clear range high and a clear range low. But how I know that my range high is in place when I have a support and liquidation, and how I know a support and liquidation is actually a support and liquidation. In such cases, I have a couple of metrics that I like to use, or that's components that I like to make sure I have sorted before I actually understand which component is being met, or say for instance, if I want to know my support and liquidation, I understand the idea of compressed schematics, and I understand the mere fact that if I draw on a range and use that high as my support and liquidation, where I don't really have a clean support and liquidation within the range, then that high becomes my support and liquidation. It gets very interesting, but we move indeed. But when I saw this, my next step was just waiting for actual range low to be informed, because it would dictate my range, or it would allow me to understand where it is that I actually operating within. where the range is especially concerned. So this is where it gets interesting, because if we move forward a bit, and I was conscious of the fact that we had news this morning. I can't remember what time it was exactly, but I think 8:30. But the mere fact that we had news this morning, it speaks to me that, you know what, depending on how or in which direction news go, then I got idea as to if I can get triggered, or if I can get potential entry where my system is concerned. And we can see what I was waiting for, the range low to be confirmed. And how we know the range low confirmed, the ideas of switches in order flow, and reverse switches in order flow, as I regard it. But it's basically like confirming that a low is in place and will allow me to understand where my range actually lies. Go to the line chart, and I figure just clear all the middle and all that nonsense are going on. You can see the highs and the low can form soon, but I just use it as like a skeleton, so I don't really get confused with what's happening with all these candles. I just use it to see like a skeleton. If that makes sense. But eventually, you see with the news release, price, break two highs, cause the support and liquidation to happen. One, well, obviously before this, we had a reverse switch in order flow confirming the actual range low. That's where it got interesting for me, because all of a sudden, my range was drawn on. I understood where I intended to operate within, along with understanding where support and liquidation lies. And I have criteria, a set of criteria that would allow me to validate each of these components. So I know how I know that this high is the range. I know that this low is the range low, because of what happening more or less in between. It gets interesting. Let me try to remove this here, because it's a little confusing. But the moment I realized that this support and liquidation are gone, let me tell you, it's very interesting. I began to set limits. As my system dictates. I set limits once the support and liquidation has been confirmed. In such cases where it's like, say the support and liquidation was a bit higher, there are some cases where support and liquidation is kind of close to the entry. So I just have like the order, they're just hovering, ready to be placed on like standby, so that the moment we actually go in, or the moment we get close to support and liquidation, something like this here, for example, where the support and liquidation would have just played the entry if the entry was a bit lower, if the support and liquidation was a bit higher. So just have the order calculation, everything on standby. For the moment that the support and liquidation, the moment the alert goes off, I could just press the button and place the order. That's the intention. But we move on. And eventually at 9, we got the entry. What was interesting about this, right, was that I was waiting on 9:30 on New York Stock Exchange open to more or less be the, not the catalyst, but the catalyst for price delivery. That was one like volume injection I was waiting on, in order to actually make a move, or to expect to see the trade actually go in my direction based on the criteria that's already met, my system, and the data revolving my system. And we get the 9:30, we get the 9:30 candle very, very soon. And you can see I went much deeper into this in regards to how it actually delivers on the 1 minute, and understanding my pre-bell directional bias and a time window within this specific time that will allow me to think, you know what, price is very interesting, and with a high degree of clarity, or with a level of certainty, not 100%, but with a high degree, I understand where price is likely to head to next, based on the sequence of events that have already been set in motion. And you can see eventually this was a nice trade. This is probably within the hour. Yeah, probably like an hour price. And it was very interesting. Very, very, very interesting, this trade. Fit the model. I execute like I had to. And it was calm indeed. It was very, very calm indeed. But what it means though, is, how to say this, knowing your system, knowing your data, would allow you to execute without much thought, without much like anxiety, without much all the heart racing and all sorts, because you get to this state of being calm, so calm that you don't mind what happened next, because it's like you see it happen tons and tons and tons and tons of times. Like like countless iterations. So it's like, you know, when this happened and that happened and then this happened and then this happened, you know, that can happen and then this can happen, you know? That's not like a bunch of madness, but if my cursor was actually showing, I think it was showing, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 equals 5. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4 don't equal 5, but you hope you get the point. It's like this happened and then this happened and then this happened and then this happened. So it's like the expected result would be that to happen, you know? One of them situations. But it gets very interesting. Now, that was all for me today. Like the moment I hit TP, I think at that point I had the alert. And once I realized that the positions were actually closed on my MT5s, along with any other accounts I was trading at the time, then I just made sure all that was set and just leave the chart, just stop caring, to be honest. It wasn't really much to care about because I understand my data and I understand my system. So when I see certain things happening and when I see I in a trade for a amount of time, the expectation is for price to actually go my level like it's like to my targets. Because like I know when I'm about to get stop, or I know when the trade isn't going to work. And that's coming down to me analyzing my data and interpreting data so much so that I can make certain optimizations in regards to not really chart work, but how I manage myself as a trader outside the chart work. So that I don't get all this anxiety or behave like a madman as a result of say certain situations happening or you're in a position and it coming close to my TPs. Like I don't care because I understand what my data saying, I understand what my system's saying. So it's like who's me as trader get involved? Who's this stupid person getting involved? Messing over empirical data, so to speak. But we move on. Coming into like more or less the trade review section. For like the post session analysis though, let me just move that. I'm just wasting time. It's interesting because it could see a myriad, or you can understand that myriad of things could happen here. One being, this can get a little interesting, but one being longs to this high or wherever the range, well, yeah, this high, or we could instead just run this low. In such situations where it's like ambiguous, where it's like it having price is having more than one route to take, so to speak, or show me that it isn't as clear as I'd like it to be. In such cases, I do a couple of things. One, shut my eyes and go to sleep, or shut my chart or just stop caring. Or two, wait for more information to be printed. What I mean by wait for more information, wait for when the session opens tomorrow at say 8 a.m. Wait for when 9:30 a.m. The New York Stock Exchange opens. And I just take these instances and understand how to navigate, or these kind of set the tone for me. I don't really like going about like doing like this. For example, we're trying to predict where price going. If for price to show me where it's going, I act based on the data provided. But it's interesting. Let me get back to the point now. For the post session analysis, I understand wait, this high gone, well this low went, this high gone. But it's interesting because the expectation is to run lows. And if we at this stage currently, the expectation is to run lows, and I understand that like in the grand scheme of things, if I go to the 4 in this system, in the grand scheme of things, we will see that we will see that this high going, or even this high going, will look like a reversion in our flow. So much that you might see a new range to play from, where this might be the range and this might be the range low. But range supporting liquidation for this range high, that's what made me think, you know what, between this range high, this is supporting liquidation and this is the range low. As if we decide to actually go bullish, let me put this back on. If we decide, turn it off actually, it's clear charts. But if we decide to actually go bullish, a few things could actually happen, man. And it's interesting. It's very interesting because it's like, yeah, we can move higher to clearly lower. But in my thoughts, if we actually move higher, then it will be to this high, because this will be like a support and liquidation as per how I view it. The only way that this high will be placed will still be intact is if it's right and come back on now, but is if we move higher and we begin to mess around like this, then I will be keen to go short. If something like this doesn't happen, where this indeed becomes my support on liquidation, then I don't care for actually getting involved here. I don't care for getting involved here if this doesn't happen. Because I understood what this means in the grand scheme of things, or my system is especially concerned. And this is probably like a delivery that you see, I don't know, probably like next week or something. But who knows, man, not me. Not me indeed. But it's a bit interesting, man. But for the longs, though, the longs are based on the fact that we clear the low, we mitigate much deeper in price. We mitigate much deeper in price. And indeed, he's saying, I don't know, like this will like be a large scale or a flow range that price indeed mitigated. But it's interesting because I see all these areas like to people kind of familiar with Wyckoff and Wyckoff methodology. I see these areas as redistribution areas where it looks as though it might be accumulating in regards to the schematic, but in actuality, it's just creating the UTAD or whatever it's called, and then begin to play. But it could be very interesting what could happen. It could be very interesting, but I see these longs as more than a more of a setup. Not the setup as in like you gain a trade opportunity, but like a false move. Like a setup, like a I don't know how to say it differently. But like a false move, like what is really going on? Like you actually can take longs from here. They completely asinine to do such. So the expectation is for price to actually go ahead and run along to this order flow range clearly low. Now, what would validate longs? They reckon if you move up a bit more, we get a clear reverse and order flow, and then we come down, and we actually switch and then we go up. But this is something I'm not really keen on doing, to be honest, because I would be more inclined to take a loss like this, and it's just not smart, you know? Just not smart at all. Especially when you understand where price, or you think you got understanding of where price is overall headed based on the data that was already presented, or the candles that already print, so to speak. But in such cases, we wait. We wait, and see what happens next. That's the ideology. Or that's one main thing that our main idea I would like to relay in this little recording with a messy mic. Just wait. Wait and wait and wait. Just wait for more information to be printed so you can make a decision. Don't go try printing information on your own or predicting where saying it happened is like creating information on your own. Allow the people that actually run things to go ahead and print decision. We don't run things. We don't run things at all. We don't run things. That's one thing I would like to say, or we can end this call with. We don't run things. All we can do is wait in anticipation, but just don't allow the anticipation to mess around with your brain. Make you think that you know much more than you actually do. Otherwise, you find yourself falling in a ditch, a deep one as well. But that was the little trade view. That was on both my accounts. It was 5.8, but those little percentages. But this market out as 5.69. 5.84% was actually realized for the position. So that's a bit interesting in itself. That is a bit interesting in itself. If I could actually go in right now, I'm sure, because I took a screenshot of the MT5, just so you know that I take my plays, Try the MT5 and I can find a screenshot of the pre-sessional analysis that I did for for this day as well. Hey, here we go. Yeah, kind of what I was walking through here on my actual charts, but this is something I was looking at coming into the day and how I intended to navigate. It's very interesting. Very interesting. But I reckon that was all though. That is all for the pre-session analysis, the little mini outlook, along with a trade review from today indeed. From today indeed. Extremely interesting. Extremely interesting. I reckon that was all. You have a good one. Hope you enjoy this 20-minute watch. Hope that some type of information or some realization clicked or was set in place, so much that you understand to a higher degree how to actually navigate efficiently or navigate precisely professional operating. I hope that was related in this little video. As of now, that's me, and I hope all is well. Have a good one.